haven't real. We're just going to try to get through Oaklawn and see where we go from there. See how the horses do at Oaklawn and where they need to go. You know, if they get to go to bigger tracks with bigger money. Although Oaklawn has really got some good horses, very good. Most, I mean, they're probably in the top 10 of horses.
Is that where you've been getting your prize money at?
Well, we haven't gotten any prize money yet.
Oh.
We haven't raised anything yet.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
Oh.
We're just getting ready to take 6 of our horses to Aiken, South Carolina, because they have a training center there with a track and the facilities he needs to finish these up. He's ridden them all over here and started. He just started this riding this one May 1st.
In 2 years when you break them in.
We call them start. We don't call them break, because we don't want to break them. We want to start them on a good track.
Start a relationship and develop a partnership.
There you
Ah,
go. There
call it started. Okay.
You understand how words have meaning even in your
Absolutely.
subconscious. So if you're thinking break, because that's the way they call it that, break their spirit, and that's not the most effective way. It's possible their brains work that way too. They'll shut down and become just basically slave-minded and do what you want. But we developed a relationship and a partnership, so they think we're just another herd member. Kind of why it's called natural horsemanship. We interact with them as they interact with each other in a herd.
Wow, this is the
They
first
had-
time I hear it. So this sounds like a science almost.
Oh, it is exactly a science. That's what it is. It was caveman until recently they figured out the brain structure, and they don't have, they don't understand punishment. They don't have a frontal cortex. If they do, it's like thumbnail size, just a tiny piece. So they don't think about anything but right now. They stay in the moment. That's why they're so good for PTSD people, because they're living in the past and the future instead of being with the horse to teach you how to be in the moment and to erase all those PTSD symptoms that they have. Their brain gets stuck in a bad cycle. And if they can learn to be with horses, that's one of the tools they use. And that's the reason.
So that's very similar to what I'm trying to bring out for military.
you go.
But I know nothing about it other than your 30-second talk on it. I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
But I've heard about it, I've read about it, certain things on these animals. And I was like, well, okay, how do I do this where it pays for itself? Because I don't want to expense it on my dime, so to speak. So how do we get these rescued horses? There's apparently a lot of them, but I don't know the first thing of taking care of the horse. Now I know you want me to be a racer, be a jockey, you know that stuff, which I can do that too on the side. But
Take a lot of dedication.
yeah, I don't know what kind of training it is. I'm half handicapped myself and run half of the PTSD in my head all day, but I'm a functioning veteran, and I just want to try to bring it out. If that's possible, because I can relate to the people.
We'd always thought about setting up a program to have people come out and just be with the horses. You know, it's good for the horses too to have somebody to hang out and scratch their itchy spots that they can't reach, and just hang out and be buddies. Go for a walk through the woods.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have tons of trails. I don't know how these horses would do on trails because you're bringing them for racing.
No, that's the whole racing's the icing on the cake. The foundations, you have to build the foundation. You have to build that cake, mix all the batter and everything correctly. Once you get the foundation, then they can go do anything. So these guys grow up going through woods and seeing different things, because what they really need to understand is we're just a two-legged herdman, and we're the smarter of the two of us. So they should just defer like they would in nature to the guy that knows the most, keep them safe. Because all they do is they think, just walk around and think about what's behind that tree, what's in it. They know they're prey animals, so they're looking for predators all the time. They don't have Google, so they don't know one thing from the next. They have to experience everything and go through it, where we help them go, I know it looks scary to you, Mother Nature is telling you one thing, but I'm telling you something else, and this will prove to you that I'm smarter than what your instincts are, and you'll save more energy and feel safer, more comfortable if you defer to me.
That's beautiful. You should write a book if you go
There's books written on it. That's how I learned.
What's that?
I said, there's all kinds of books written on it. That's how I learned.
Oh.
The problem is, part of the reason we're doing this in racing is because of the 5 major horse sports, racing outnumbers the other 4 combined in eyeballs and money, amount of money that's involved in it. So if we can change people's perception of how you should be with the horse on the biggest stage, then it'll trickle down all the way to the backyard people.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, I can go to backyard people and fix them, and they always think, oh, you got to fix my horse. Well, I got to fix you. You have to understand, like getting in a foreign car and left side drive, right side drive, and all that. You just wouldn't be fluid until once you know where all the buttons are, then it's just like driving your
Right.
vehicle that you've always driven, because you know where everything is. It's the same thing with these guys. You just have to know how to push the buttons in the right way, with the right energy, and they'll go, okay, do whatever you want. There's no need for a bunch of pressure and wrestling involved, where you see all the westerns where the horses are always throwing their heads,
Yeah,
flipping their heads in the air.
Trying to get
'Cause
away.
they're giving them too strong of a signal. They're trying to make them do it when when it's possible with the horse's brain structure that if you give them a signal, even just shifting your weight and look in the other direction, they'll know, because you've repetitively done that. You shifted your weight, look in the other direction, and at first they go, well, I don't know what that means. And you add pressure on this side until they go, oh, look this way. As soon as they start getting the first piece of it, then you just reinforce and refine as you teach them control, and you reinforce and refine until bing, bang, boom. Just a couple days ago, I rode him completely bridleless all around the laneway we got here. It's kind of a safe place, but
What is that?
it's proof that the horse.
Nothing but a rope around his neck.
So you just go bareback right on top?
Well, I wasn't bareback just because it's the reason the saddle is here. It distributes the weight, kind of like a backpack. It distributes the weight across his back.
Yeah.
So all my weight's not in this one
Oh,
spot,
right.
and he's having to really keep himself up. So just for their comfort and development, I like to keep a saddle on him
Okay.
for the most part. But I get on him bareback all the time. They're not worried about it. It's just not as comfortable as having a saddle.
Ah, got it. They like rubbing the ears like dogs?
Yep. They like all kinds. Anywhere they can't reach themselves, they tend, once they're confident with you, they'll just beg for it. Like their withers, it's hard for them even when they roll, scratch right on the top of their
Yeah.
on the top of their backs, and they can't hardly get to the ground to touch this part. Their bellies they can't hardly reach. They'll just stand there and drop their bottom lip and go to
He
sleep.
watched his lip twitch because it feels so good.
Oh, it's too funny. Just like a dog. It's like,
So all these things we do is just trying to convince them that we're a benevolent dictator. We're somebody that they would, just like if somebody came along and said, here, I got all these things you like, and all you have to do is a little this, a little that, and every day it gets a little harder, but it's only this much harder every day, and you don't even notice it. That's
right.
basically what we're doing with it. He just knows his job. There's nothing for him to do but stand here, stand still until I'm done, and he'll get a reward. If he moves off, I'll take the saddle off, and I'll make him do some elementary basic stuff, kind of like when you're in probably elementary school. If you did something wrong, you'd have to write 100 times. I will.
Yeah.
It's just little things like that. It's kind of it's not a punishment, because horses don't understand punishment. But it's just a task they have to complete, and they're very strong in patterns, kind of like humans are. You know, when you tie your shoes, you don't think all through the steps. You just, because your brain's turned it into a sympathetic response, kind of like blinking and breathing. But that didn't start that way. You had to start out being very deliberate and exacting until you train that pattern in your brain. That's all we do with these guys. They just know. Better just stand still and wait till I'm done, and then I'm going to get a cookie out of it. Usually he knows when I'm about done. He gets his head over here waiting for his reward. We feed the cookies in the side of the mouth so they don't start chomping at your hand when you don't have a cookie, or if they're trying to get one, they'll start trying to bite at you to get you. That kind of gets dangerous after a while. But if they know they only get cookies in the side, and they'll start. They can't. They don't have teeth past here. So from here to here, there's no teeth.
Oh, that's the correct way to feed them?
Well, it's safer for everybody. It keeps them from starting to get grabby about getting more cookies and grabbing at you and biting at you because they're wanting a cookie, and
Right.
it's just an impolite way for them to ask for it. Where if they want one now, they might bump me here, or just touch me with their nose. It wouldn't do any good to use their teeth to try to take a cookie from me.
Ah.